Hi, I'm Gary Goncalves, of course, the Democratic candidate for mayor of Danbury, and it's my pleasure to have Ned Lamont with me here today. Ned, of course, is a successful entrepreneur and businessman. He founded and still owns Campus Televideo, which offers services to 150 campuses throughout the country. 250 now. You got to update your website. And he offers services such as foreign language, distance learning, and cable television services. Ned also has this distinction of having School of Management degrees from both Harvard and Yale, which I believe trumps my degree from University of Bridgeport. And you know, Ned is no stranger to politics, as he has been a former Senate candidate in the past, and he's here with us today just to talk a little bit about the economic conditions and you know, the city of Danbury. Ned?
Gary, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm no stranger to Danbury, and I'm delighted to be back, and it's great to see you all, and I'm delighted to be here on behalf of Gary Goncalves. I think he's going to be a remarkable mayor. I'd like to just say a couple of things about economic development. You know, you look at this state, you look at this city, you look at Danbury, and it's all going to be about jobs, Gary. It's all going to be about jobs, and you're the man that can get the job done. You know, this is a state that's been flat on its back for an awful long time. And don't take it from me, you know, take it from an economic soothsayer, Chris Healy. He's chairman of the state Republican Party. And you know what Chris Healy said? He said Connecticut has become an economic dead zone. Dead last in job creation since 1991. And I don't know why he said 1991, Gary, but 1991 was the last time that we had a Democratic governor, but I don't think that's what he meant. I think what he's talking about is the fact that Connecticut has underperformed, not kept up with other states in the region, not kept up with the rest of the country when it comes to job creation, in good times and in bad. We just can't blame this on the recession. We can't blame all the for lease signs and for rent signs you see here on Main Street in Danbury on the recession. It's really all about leadership. And I'd say that jobs is particular on mine right now when we got the bad news from Pratt & Whitney just last week that another 1,000 jobs were scheduled to head down south. And that's not inevitable. I tell you one other economic soothsayer who had a comment. His name is John Rowland. Remember John Rowland?
Yes.
You know, John Rowland said, look, it's not all about Pratt & Whitney. There's a lousy business climate in the state of Connecticut, especially in the last 5 years, he said. Especially in the last 5 years. And I think he's perhaps suggesting that things have gotten even worse since he left office. But I think the point is it's not inevitable that we continue to fall behind other states. It's not inevitable that we're last when it comes to new job creation, last when it comes to starting up new business. You know, you look around, you know, why is it that a lot of the young people are leaving Danbury? Why is it that a lot of young people are leaving the state of Connecticut? I hope you guys stick around and don't go anywhere. We want you to stick around in this state. You know, a lot of young people leave. We're now the third oldest state in the country. You know what, are we like Florida? Come on, this is Connecticut. Things are happening in Connecticut. We got to get Connecticut going again. We got to get our mojo back. And why are people leaving? Why are young people leaving the places like New York? Why are they leaving for North Carolina? You know, it's not simply about taxes, although I know taxes, Gary, have gone up here in Danbury an awful lot, and that's something you're going to change. But look, North Carolina, taxes are about the same as they are here. It's not simply because they have lower wage rates in North Carolina. You know, the Research Triangle, the new technology they've got down there, those are good paying jobs, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. You know, it's not the weather. That's not why people are going to North Carolina. You know, I love autumn in Connecticut. What's better? The leaves are changing. Danbury's beautiful this time of the year. You can have those pine trees in North Carolina 12 months a year. No, they're leaving to places like North Carolina and the Research Triangle because those states have a strategy. They have a plan. They are going out and they're working like heck to recruit new business. Look, Gary's a guy, he's got a business background. He knows business. He knows how to talk to business. He knows what business is looking for. And when he's mayor of Danbury, it's going to be open for business again right here in Danbury. And I'll tell you, you're not just going to be sitting there open for business. You're going to have an economic development officer. And we're not going to wait for businesses to come to this town, this city. We're going to be going out there and finding businesses. We're going to tell them the advantages of why you want to be in Danbury. And that's just what they did down there in Raleigh-Durham about 25 years ago. They could have gone, oh, boo-hoo, we're losing our textile mills, we'll never be the same again, we'll never be great again. That's not what they did. They went out there, they went to the great universities, and they said, we want you to start educating the next generation of computer scientists, the next generation of computer engineers. They had remediation, they cleaned up a lot of the land so there was low-cost space. They worked with education and housing. And most importantly, what they did is they went to a lot of the smaller high-tech companies around the country. And they said, this is why you ought to think about moving to Raleigh-Durham. And this is why in Connecticut, we ought to start talking to companies and saying why you ought to start thinking about relocating to Danbury. This is a place you want to be. This is a place where you want to grow up, start your business, have your children have a place to call home. And I think the guy to do it is right here next to me. I think he's somebody that can really get some energy back into what we're trying to accomplish here. He's somebody that when he was here running this city again, we're going to hear our four favorite words. The job is yours. You've won the job. And Gary, when you win the job, Danbury is going to be back on its feet. We wish you all the very best.
Thanks, Ned. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here today also. Just to echo a few themes that Ned brought out, again, I believe that attracting and retaining quality jobs in this city is something that the current administration has been overlooking. In fact, just today in the paper, there was a staggering statistic that just under 1%, that poverty has increased in Danbury from just under 1% 2 years ago to 7.1% today, and 11% with families with children, which is just an incredible number. And again, as Ned pointed out, there's a lot of stores in this downtown alone that are empty and for lease. So it's really a problem. In addition, I've spoken many times about our education system and how I believe it's suffering. Again, to quote the News Times recently, our schools are falling behind, and 9 of them did not make adequate yearly progress in reading. And what's more distressing is that this current administration, for this budget cycle, did not increase the school board budget with local tax dollars. And the effect of that was that the school board and the superintendent were forced to do an early retirement, which really decimated our city schools and changed the whole face of our public school system in Danbury. We lost so many good qualified teachers and administrators and other clerical people, and those things and that knowledge and experience cannot be made up very easily. It takes time to replace that experience. Again, we've talked about the taxes and spending mentality of this current administration. Taxes have increased 8 straight years. The city budget has increased from $149 million 7 years ago to $202 million this year, and that's a $53 million increase. And again, included with that is the continued big-ticket bonding purchases that has increased our long-term debt in this city for many years to come. And again, the culmination of all that, what we get for that as taxpayers, really is a decrease in city services. And as I said before, City Hall needs to be open 5 days a week. This public library needs to be open for extended hours because so many parents and children use it, as well as so many people rely on their computers to look for work. So it's no wonder that the mayor does not want to debate me. There's a lot of facts out there that I can cite as to why there needs to be a change in the city of Danbury. And again, I'm getting great statewide support from people like Ned Lamont who are here pulling for us, and hopefully we can make a change for the better in this community. And again, I'll just remind everybody we've got a great slate of Democratic candidates this year. Please come out and vote on Election Day, and I look forward to taking office on November 4th. Thank you. Does anybody have questions? Al?
Economic development, you noted that storefronts that are empty, especially on the second and third floor.
Right.
This is something that everybody knows in Danbury. What would you do in terms of attracting more jobs to the downtown area?
Well, Al, frankly, we've got a very detailed plan for the downtown redevelopment. It includes things such as free WAN access for the businesses in the downtown area. We're looking at things like expanding City Center to other street locations and the services that City Center provides. We are looking, on my staff, I would have somebody dedicated to the downtown and to help City Center attract these businesses back to Danbury and really go out and market Danbury, you know, on a full-time basis, as opposed to trying to make it a coordinator's position within City Hall. I think, you know, the downtown is still a linchpin to this city. We know that good things are happening with the Palace Theater here, and we've got to nurture that relationship with the city and the Palace. And I believe that, again, we need to be a more welcoming community in many ways, and I think businesses will come back. Citizens who have left the city of Danbury will come back if we provide these amenities. So the other thing I think strikes me, you know, having my headquarters downtown, is the fact that the downtown is dirty. And today it just happened to catch my eye that it may have been a city worker, may have been somebody for City Center, I'm not sure, but he was actually blowing off the sidewalks, you know, with a hand blower, which is great, except it blows it into the street, and then once the wind kicks up, it blows it back onto the sidewalk. So that's not the kind of maintenance I would call adequate for a city the size of Danbury. So I think we need to do better in many ways in that regard.
One last follow-up. When you talk about economic development, one thing that has come to mind is transportation, primarily light rail transportation. Areas such as Stamford, New Haven, they have been sustained economically because of their light rail. People can get on the Metro North, go back and forth to New York. A lot of people have always complained about the Danbury rail line. Well-known thing in Danbury is that most people don't take the Danbury rail line. They have to go to New York. They go over to Brewster and take the Harlem line. In terms of talking about attracting jobs, what would you do in terms of improving the rail service? And what I mean improving the rail service, communicating or talking with the state reps and senators about the need to improve the rail in this area.
Well, I think the advantage I would have there, Al, is that, you know, again, being a Democrat and most of our state legislators being Democrats from this area, I think I would have a little bit of an edge in talking to them and bringing in the funding that would be needed to increase the rail line structure here. And you mentioned things, you mentioned cities like Stamford. You know, I work in Stamford, and I'm very close friends with Mayor Dan Malloy, and Dan's done a great job in pulling his downtown together by attracting business. They're even talking now about a trolley system down there, but I agree with you that something needs to be done. We can't be trotting out to Brewster anytime we want to go down to New York City. So the rail line here, you know, we've got a lot of commuters that commute down into the city from Danbury and Bethel and other places, and that rail line needs to be expanded. And I think, as Ned said, you know, it's time also for a Democratic governor. And, you know, hopefully we can, with that legislature in place, we can affect the changes that we need.
In terms of economic development downtown, what are your plans, Gary, to incorporate the immigrant businesses that are downtown? Every time there's been a plan about economic development or having someone at that whole team in Danbury, there hasn't been really been someone that's open enough to talk to some of these business owners, which are mostly businesses that start
Right.
from heart. These guys don't have business. They have family-owned and operated businesses. They may not know what it takes to have the kind of display window that they should have
Sure.
to beautify downtown and bring in more businesses, or what to do to bring in the American clientele, make it feel more welcome as far as the language
Sure.
barrier goes. We do know as a ethnic media that they are also responsible for a lot of those storefronts. They're not having for rent signs up on the window right now. They have revitalized pretty much 50% of downtown are immigrant-owned and operated
Right.
businesses.
Mhm.
So how is your plan going to incorporate them and enhance their businesses as well?
Well, you know, Emmanuel, I think the ethnic businesses and especially the ethnic restaurants in the downtown area are something that the general public should take more advantage of. I know I just ate in Matad Al Mundo on Friday evening and attended an event afterwards at the Ecuadorian Civic Center. So, you know, a few things come to mind. First of all, I think a sitting mayor in a town this size has to lead by example, and I believe that as mayor, you know, I would spend a lot of time downtown frequenting these restaurants that are so important to the vibrancy of the downtown. I think also that city center and the and the aid to City Center from the mayor's office has to be a bit stronger. And as I've said, I've already told Andrea Gartner that should I be elected mayor, I will devote one of my staff people from the mayor's office to City Center itself. And another component of our detailed downtown redevelopment plan would be a facade facelift. So I think, again, it's incumbent on us as a city to help these merchants, not only to attract them, but to help them do business when they're there, and to provide the resources that they can rely on for things that they may not be familiar with in the best way and the best practices of, conducting a retail business or a restaurant establishment. But, I can tell the people of Danbury very honestly that, of course, I'm Portuguese and Sicilian, so I like all kinds of food, but we've got some great restaurants downtown, and I encourage people to come down here, go to events at the Palace Theater, and, please stop down and spend some money downtown. You'll be surprised at what we have here.